welcome. Thank you for joining me at the table. I'm Thomas Dodderwick, and this week I have the pleasure of sitting down with His Excellency Bishop Warfel, the Emeritus Bishop of the Diocese of Great Falls-Billings. Bishop Warfel, thank you for joining me.
It was great to be here with you. It's my life has changed somewhat radically since I became the Emeritus Bishop.
So many people are asking that question. What do you do now? I mean, do you just get to relax, or are you keeping yourself busy?
I'm very clear when I'm talking to people is that when Pope Francis accepted my resignation, it was a resignation from office, but not really a retirement from ministry.
Sure.
And I am very involved in quite a number of areas of ministry here in the diocese, and also nationally and also internationally.
We'll talk about some of those ministries specifically here in just a moment. But one of the questions that I get frequently is, what changes? I mean, do you stop being a bishop? Do you, is there any kind of change in your status to the church besides the fact that you're not an active bishop in a diocese?
No, you once you're ordained as a bishop, you remain a bishop for life. It's contrary to, let's say, in the Lutheran Church, where a bishop is elected to an office, but once they fulfill their term, they're no longer viewed as the bishop, maybe a retired bishop. But we understand it is part of our holy orders. And so there's diaconate, priesthood, and the episcopacy. And once you're ordained a bishop, you are a bishop till the day you die.
So really the only difference is you don't have that responsibility of having to manage the day-to-day operations of the diocese.
That's correct. I'm freed up from all the administration of the diocese. And as I somewhat jokingly have told people, I have no juridical authority whatsoever. I'm just a nice guy.
So let's talk then, because you are being seen at parishes throughout the diocese. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the ministry you are performing. What are you doing in the diocese and on the bigger scale of national or worldwide?
Well, in this next, with the next 4, 5, 6 months and going into the season of Lent, I will be helping out with with the Cum Christo weekends. The roots are Curcio.
Sure.
At St. Matthew's Parish in Sydney. So I'll be there for their men's Cum Christo, and then stay there for the week and stay over for the women's Cum Christo. From there, I'll be traveling to Baker, and I'll be doing a Lenten mission for St. John's Parish and their missions and surrounding parishes for whoever wants to come. Once I return, I'll be doing a mission, the same mission at St. Anne's Cathedral, and for the first 3 days of that week.
Beyond the diocese, you still hold some offices with some national and international organizations.
I am, first of all, with the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, I serve on a subcommittee for home missions, which is a very important subcommittee for dioceses like the Diocese of Great Falls-Billings, because it's a granting agency, and so we typically receive about $90,000 a year to help fund some of the ministries in this diocese. So I'll be on that for another year and a half or so.
So retired bishops even get to stay active within the conference?
Yes, on the committees, and yes. The one thing you can't do is you can come to the plenary meetings. You're more than welcome and invited to come to them. You have voice at the meetings. You don't have a vote.
Oh, okay.
And somewhat humorously, there's a number of individuals looking at some bishops who would rather they have the vote and not the voice. Also, I got this little brochure here for Worldwide Marriage Encounter. When I was looking toward my resignation from office as the ordinary, and I wanted to spend a quality time in Worldwide Marriage Encounter. And as it happens, I was selected to serve on the North American Secretariat for Worldwide Marriage Encounter, which is the United States, Canada, and 8 Caribbean nations.
Wow.
You know, so that's a fairly wide group of territory.
Yeah.
And because I was selected for the North American Secretariat, it automatically placed me on the World Council for Worldwide Marriage Encounter. And we have a week-long meeting every year. This past year, I was in the island of Mauritius for a week, which is in the Indian Ocean. And then coming up in May, I'll be in San Juan, Puerto Rico for a week. We'll be selecting new leadership. And one of the key things we're doing is we're working on statutes and getting them approved by the Holy See, so it becomes a fully recognized initiative and movement of the Catholic Church. That said, I'm also, as a presenting priest at weekends in our local area. So last November, I presented with 3 couples in Ucross, Wyoming. In the first weekend of February, I will be with several couples, and we'll be presenting at a weekend at Mary Queen of Peace Parish.
Here in our own diocese.
In our own diocese. It'll be a non-residential one, so people don't have to, the people signed up so far are right from Billings, so they can spend the night at home and then come into the Mary Queen of Peace Parish and do the same thing as if we had a weekend at a hotel or a resort or whatever.
I know that ministry was important to you even before your resignation from office. Why is that ministry so important to you, the ministry to marriage and the Worldwide Marriage Encounter?
Well, as you know, and certainly, being facilitating the Diocesan Synod on the Domestic Church, healthy and strong marriages and family make for a healthy and strong church. And with our society often being so fragmented and so many distractions and people being pulled from their relationships, I just wanted to do what I could personally to help strengthen marriages. And so when couples take the weekend, it's a really significant weekend for them because they can spend quality time just with each other, the husband and the wife, dialoguing, and we give some tools of dialoguing on areas of the relationship. And I know from my experience, the couples come out from the weekend and just in flying colors, and they're just have a greater appreciation of their relationship. And it's like, you've been married for what, 4 or 5 years now?
That's right.
Well, after about a year and a half, the romance goes away, and then you make a decision to love, and it's like the saying is, romance gets the world spinning, but it doesn't keep it spinning, and so it involves some real dialogue and going even deeper into the relationship. I use a model of a pair of rusty old rusty old scissors. They could be sinners too. St. Paul says we're all sinners.
That's right.
And but with a bolt loose, and it's like you can take I had a pair of scissors some years ago, and they got all rusty, and I got some steel wool, and I got the rust off of it, sharpened the blade, and tightened the bolt, and they were good as new. Sometimes relationships are like that. You need some steel wool and to clean off the rust and tighten the bolt, which I think is a symbol of Christ, to tighten the blades together, and then they work really, really well.
Is that weekend, that experience for couples that are just in marriages that might be kind of in a rocky situation, or are the weekends open for any married couple?
No, actually, if a marriage relationship has some difficulties, I would really steer them over to Retrovi. which is more dealing with a real struggling relationship. Marriage Encounter, the weekend, is mostly for just your normal relationship. There's not necessarily dealing with any serious issues, but certainly has become maybe a little dry or could have a little more spice put into their relationship. And it's open to any married couple that wants to come to it,
Switching gears just slightly.
Mm-hmm.
You're busy in your not retired state, but out of office state, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
What are you enjoying most about your new kind of state within the church?
I think what I enjoy most is not having to have the responsibilities of administration. And that's a very typical experience with either bishops or priests who have resigned from office. Sometimes administration can be a headache, mm-hmm. especially when you're dealing with controversies. I don't have that now. And I can also pretty much take care of my own calendar.
Sure.
So I can choose what I want to do or what I don't want to do. Now, I've told Bishop Fleming, and, I'm more than willing to do whatever he asks me to do. And so I'll be helping out with confirmations here this coming spring.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a number that are factored in my calendar in April and May.
Bishop Warfel, I appreciate you taking time today to come in and visit with us. And I know the people that are watching loved you as our ordinary, and so it's always good for them to be able to see you still around the diocese.
Well, I love the people of the diocese too. It's a shared experience.
Thank you for your ministry.
You're welcome.